very much indeed. Thank you very much, Leanne, and 50/50 Parliament for inviting me to speak tonight. Unaccustomed as I am to showing political bias, I would firstly like to extend my congratulations to Labour for their resounding success in our recent election. At Menopause Mandate, we've enjoyed working with the likes of Carolyn Harris, resplendent here in lime green, you can't miss her, and Annalise Dodds in opposition, and we very much hope that that fertile working relationship will continue and get even closer now that they've got their grip on the reins of power. Secondly, and not showing political bias, congratulations to all of the female MPs who've won seats. As Leanne says, we know what an incredibly difficult journey that can be, particularly for women for many reasons, and it really is astonishing that you're here and that we've got, finally, at last count, 41% of those with a voice to be listened to in how we run our country, being women. Ladies, as the song goes, the only way is up. Sorry, that's a really old song as well, so I think I've really my children will be going cringe, cringe. Obviously, 50/50 Parliament might be out of business if things keep going so well. And as co-founder of the Women in Work Summit, I also look forward to a day when our work, our key mission being to help organisations understand how to attract, support and advance women at all life stages, achieve equal representation, and of course, close the yawning pay gap, currently at around 14.9%. We're right behind you, Rachel Reeves. So we'd like to be out of business as well. But at the current rate of progress, married to my advanced years that I've already highlighted, I'm not entirely convinced it'll be in my lifetime. At the moment, we're talking about 45 years at the rate things are moving in order to close that pay gap. And that's if things keep moving forward. I think whilst there's great news emanating over the last 24 hours from America, we only need to look to the US to appreciate how fragile our grip on progress with women's rights is. So we can't sit on our laurels. In the UK, we've had 3 female prime ministers, and not one of them have addressed women's currently untenable position in the working world, or indeed issues around women's health and their biology and the way in which that impacts on their potential. So it's up to those of us lower down the food chain to move the dial and create perhaps a curvier career path and a female-shaped space to replace the vertical, linear trajectory, favoured for obvious reasons, by centuries of patriarchy. We can no longer sustain an economy based on one sex doing paid work for which they gain kudos, and the other half doing the unpaid work that makes such mansplaining possible. I say that, but also a warm welcome, of course, to all the men in the room. Delighted to see you here, and you can mansplain away here tonight. It's a safe space. Unfortunately, our biology, I'm not banging on about nothing, because our biology and unfair burden of care continues to penalise women unjustly. 12 years after a woman has her first baby, she'll be earning 20% less than her equivalent male colleague. A survey from the Fawcett Society last year found that 250,000 mothers with young children left their jobs because of the prohibitive costs of childcare. At the end of their working lives, women who've had children can expect a 20 to 30% pension reduction. And don't get me started on the 1 in 10 women at the top of their game who leave the workforce every year because of the risible lack of support and flexibility around that passing phase in female fertility called perimenopause. I have to say, whilst congratulating Labour and congratulating you all for getting your seats, I was disappointed personally that none of those challenges featured significantly enough in party manifestos, bearing in mind the last government's supposed determination in particular to lure the long-term unemployed back into work. So then why not support menopausal women? So I'm here to try and get the balls, female ones, of course, rolling. And I have one very simple ask. It's a kind of no-brainer, if you will. I know that Carolyn Harris is going to be bringing it up as a question tomorrow in Parliament, so you will all have the opportunity to support it further. But basically, Menopause Mandate, the cross-party campaign group of which I'm chair, having succeeded with Carolyn's help to achieve the one-off prescription charge for HRT, has just just launched what we're absolutely sure will be another successful campaign, Menopause Mandate 40 Plus. A briefing document is already winging its way to Wes Street, and he may be reading it as we speak. It aims to include menopause in the over 40 NHS health check that everyone in the UK is invited to. Though someone wrote to me the other day and said they were 57 and they'd only just been invited. I suppose that's like all the other waiting lists. The health check, for those of you not there yet, looks at things like blood pressure, cholesterol, height and weight, as well as lifestyle, in an effort to prevent future serious health conditions. Yet it doesn't mention perimenopause or menopause, the one absolute for 50% of the population and the 50% of women who'll be attending those appointments. It really beggars belief. I mean, the one compulsory health challenge that every woman is going to experience isn't even referenced, despite the fact that 80% of women tell us that being informed is the biggest game changer in managing the up to 50 debilitating symptoms of menopause. As I'm sure you all know, I've said it a billion times, the average age of menopause may be 51, but actually the symptoms are likely to start in our 40s, even our early 40s, and for some women much younger. And our risk of cardiovascular disease and osteoporosis increase significantly as we go through that transition. So, if you want to ensure that these long-term illnesses aren't going to take root, then the absolute first place to start is the 40 plus health check, because making basic lifestyle changes early on mitigates. So raising it as a health check is a total no-brainer. It's been proven time and time again that education about menopause makes it easier. Women question whether they're depressed. They also get offered antidepressants far too often, or suffering from early stage Alzheimer's when low mood or brain fog. A menopausal woman always has her speech written. Well, Carolyn doesn't do that. You know, and low mood or brain fog might well be due to hormonal fluctuations. You need to know that. We've made the job even easier by creating doctor-approved information sheets and videos. It's all online, and we're happy to share them on any platform. It doesn't have to cost money. I could bang on about my symptoms, but I don't want to bore you all to death. But anyway, I had 2 years of baffling brain fog, horrendous insomnia, and anxiety that went from kind of world peace to the Waitrose order. And there was just no middle ground. It wasn't until I think my third doctor's appointment, like a sort of midlife Goldilocks, that I was told that it was just menopause, two words that should definitely not exist in the same sentence. And I had an easy time of it compared to many. So putting menopause on the 40 plus menu ties in perfectly with Labour's ethos of preventative medicine, as well as being free and straightforward to instigate. It's going to help millions of women, 18 million of whom are at this moment moving into perimenopause, and it'll save the NHS millions and millions of pounds in the coming years. At a female comedy night that we hosted a few weeks ago, celebrating menopausal women at the Hippodrome, we replaced Magic Mike, so sweaty women with sweaty men for the night. Jenny Eclair, who was absolutely brilliant, declared ideally they'd like to put us all on a coach, distract us with a word search, and push us all off a fucking cliff. Some days it sounds less like a joke, I have to say, and more like a policy in some quarters. I do know that your inboxes are already brimful as new MPs, but Menopause Mandate 40 Plus is an extremely easy score early in the game. Please sign up, no penalties, only praise to be had. We'd so love to bag this as a goal early on, and apologies for all the football analogies, but I am still quite traumatised. I was also going to say, just finally, that one of the few things that women get disproportionately more of than men is online abuse, particularly in the jobs that you've all volunteered yourselves incredibly bravely and nobly for. And I wanted to say that having been in the public eye for longer than perhaps some of you have actually been alive, that my top tip is basically don't read it. It's amazing how ineffectual, vicious and disgusting behaviour is when you don't actually hear it or see it. So don't turn into one of those, celebrities that spends their entire life reading the comment lines on social media, because that way madness lies. So that's just a personal tip. Happily, let's not linger on bad news, because this is an incredibly celebratory event. I'm so excited that we're at 41%. And as I said at the beginning, the only way is up. And I'm so glad to see you all here in the room tonight. Thank you very much.